What is up, Breaking Bad fans? Kino here, and welcome to another Breaking Bad log. We have finally reached the end of Season 4 with one of the most incredible episodes of the entire series, Face Off. Now, real quick before we get into the video, I like to take one brief moment at the end of each season to just thank you all for continuing to watch these videos. I started this channel and I do these videos because I want to share my passion for these shows with all of you guys. And it's been so much fun to go through this show. You know, I learn something new every time I watch it. You guys are pointing stuff out in the comments, and it's just incredible to be able to share my love and passion with this awesome community. So really, thank you guys for your continued support. I also wanted to announce for those who didn't hear it last time that we are going to be doing Breaking Bad Tober. If you're familiar with Sopranos Timber, it's the same exact thing. For Season 5, I'm going to be releasing a new video every single day of the week in October until we're done with Season 5. And then on October 31st, I have something kind of special planned. So stay tuned for that. Clear your calendars. Make sure you tune in for that when it comes out. It's a surprise for now, but hopefully you guys will like it. And as always, you know, if you want to support the channel, you can do so at patreon.com, get early access to videos, get your name in the credits. You know, there's different plans for, you know, whatever level of support you want to do. If you want to follow me on Twitter, get updates and other random thoughts, you can do so there. If you want to chat about, you know, different shows, movies, you know, things going on, you can hop into Discord, and we have a community there. We talk about a lot of this kind of stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over. And again, thank you guys so much. You really are incredible. And without further ado, let's jump into the video. This is Face Off. The episode opens immediately where we left off last episode. Walt rushes to get the bomb off Gus's car before it's discovered. He then brings it to the hospital to talk with Jesse. He asks if there's any place he can think of where they can ambush Gus. Before he can answer, though, two detectives approach Jesse and bring him in for questioning. After the title, Jesse is in the police station interrogation room. The detectives tell him that Jesse's statements about the ricin set off red flags with the doctors and the FBI, and they think Jesse is involved with the poisoning. Jesse then demands his lawyer, Saul. Back in Saul's office, Francesca is shredding documents since Saul has fled. Walt breaks in and tries to find Saul. Francesca, tired of all the bullshit Walt and Jesse have put her through, extorts $25,000 from Walt in order to tell him how to reach Saul. With no other options, Walt returns home to get the money. However, he realizes that Gus may have people watching the house. He calls his neighbor Rebecca and asks her to check the house for him. It turns out to be a good call, because as she enters, Walt sees men leaving from the back. Walt then sneaks into the house to grab the money. The men return, but Walt is able to sneak out from the crawl space. Back at the police station, Saul arrives, having been called by Walt. Jesse relays the only information he has, that Gus once visited Hector Salamanca. Walt realizes that they are old enemies and comes up with a plan. He approaches Hector at the nursing home, offering him the chance to get revenge on Gus. After Walt leaves, Hector spells out a message for the nurse. He tells her that he needs the DEA. Gomez then approaches Hank and tells him that Hector has information that he will only give to him personally. Despite Marie's opposition, Hank goes to the DEA headquarters to meet with him. However, once there, Hector only spells out insults to Hank. He's then taken back to the nursing home. Meanwhile, Tyrus has been watching the whole thing. He calls Gus and informs him that Hector has turned informant, which is all part of the plan. Back at the police station, Jesse is let go after they conclude that Brock was not poisoned with ricin. He then heads to the hospital, but on the way, he's ambushed by Gus's men and is kidnapped right in front of the police. Tyrus informs Gus that Jesse is now in captivity and confirms that there are no bugs in Hector's room. He suggests that maybe he should take care of this, but Gus insists that he'll be the one to kill Hector personally. He then heads down to the nursing home, preparing himself to kill his lifelong enemy. He enters Hector's room, berating him for becoming a rat. He then prepares a lethal injection, telling him that it's his last chance to look at him. Right before he puts the needle in, Hector surprises him by looking him in the eye for once. However, his look turns to rage as he begins pressing on his bell, which is connected to a bomb underneath his chair. Gus realizes too late and is blown up. He manages to stumble out into the hallway, half of his face blown off, before dying. Elsewhere, Walt is listening to the radio for news of the attack. He gets confirmation that it was successful, smiling at his success. Meanwhile, in the lab, Jesse is being forced to cook at gunpoint. Walt sneaks in using the elevator, killing the guards. He tells Jesse that Gus is dead, and they set out to destroy the lab and any evidence of their involvement. They set the place on fire, and the lab explodes as Walt and Jesse leave. Later, they meet on the roof of the hospital. Jesse says that Brock was not poisoned by the ricin, but instead by a plant called Lily of the Valley. It appears to be a random accident, which means Gus had nothing to do with it. Still, they both agree that Gus needed to go, and shake their hands and renew their friendship. Walt then calls Skylar, who's watching news coverage revealing Gus's connection to the bombing. She asks him what happened, and Walt simply replies that he won. This response shocks Skylar, as she realizes just what Walt is capable of. Walt then heads home, passing Gus's car, which is still parked in the garage. Everything seemed to work out. However, as the episode ends, we see the Lily of the Valley flower in Walt's backyard, revealing that he was the one who poisoned Brock. Alright, hold on to your hats, because we have a lot of behind-the-scenes details to go through. The title of the episode, Face Off, is probably the biggest tongue-in-cheek joke that they've done so far, referring not only to the face-off between Walt and Gus, but also Gus's face literally being blown half off. The half-blown-off face of Gus is also symbolic of his two-faced nature, the upstanding business owner that he presents to the world, and the ruthless crime boss that hides in the shadows. By the way, why the hell is Giancarlo Esposito being considered for the role of Professor X in the new X-Men movies, when he should obviously be playing Two-Face in the next Batman movie? Gus's death also has a great element of irony. All throughout the series, we've seen Gus acting more like a machine than a man. His pragmatism and ruthless caution are what allowed him to not only destroy the much more powerful cartel, but also successfully evade Walt time and time again. It's all business with Gus, cold and logical. However, his downfall comes as a result of his need for personal revenge on Hector Salamanca, the one driving force that actually made him human. It's the perfect way to end his character, and it's what makes this finale such a great episode. This is the third episode to be both written and directed by Vince Gilligan himself, after the pilot and Half Measure. And speaking of Vince, the neighbor Walt calls to check on his home is actually Vince Gilligan's mother, Gail Gilligan. And Vince, I mean no disrespect to your mother, but I've got to do it.
Who named you? Some half-wit with a stutter?
When Jesse is questioned about the ricin, he says that he heard about it on an episode of House. Now, House is one of my favorite shows of all time, and despite being about complex medical cases, I know that they never actually mention ricin throughout the entire series. Jesse is of course lying about where he learned about the ricin, so this actually makes sense. If he really wanted to be accurate, he should have said that it was lupus.
It's never lupus.
The way that Walt drops the gun in the lab mirrors the way Gus dropped the box cutter in the first episode of the season. Finally, let's discuss the poisoning of Brock. We get a hint of what Walt is planning in the previous episode, when the gun he's spinning points towards the plant in his backyard. Bryan Cranston did not read the script for Face Off when he filmed End Times, which makes his speech blaming it on Gus all the more convincing. And that's pretty much everything I have to say about the episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for Breaking Bad Tober coming soon. Last chance to like the video. Russell, Sean, Hardemarkness, Logan, Clean, John Reyna, Jesse Sterling, Andrew Stewart, Obscracing Media, Daz J. Kid, Conan Higgins, Sam Cedarlin, Don Lucania, Celery Man, Jenna Marie Johnson, Brad Smith Studios, and Uncle Mike.